Hello YouTube, this is the Casual Film Critic here, and today I'll be doing a list of movies that I believe went unnoticed. Now, I was originally going to start this as top 5 guilty pleasure movies, but then I realized, wait, these movies are actually pretty well done, so they're not exactly guilty pleasures. And then I went on to say these movies were underrated, but now not all these movies are exactly underrated. And finally, I chose to do a list of the top 5 movies that are very unnoticed. Now, by unnoticed, I don't mean critical acclaim, I don't mean box office revenue, I mean movies that stick or didn't stick with the general audience the years that went on after they came out. And these movies that I have here, these 5 movies, I believe did not really stick with the general audience or didn't really have a general audience when they came out. Now, the first movie I have on this list is a Jason Statham movie. Now, wait, it's not the new Jason Statham crap. This is the old, good Jason Statham that I grew up with and I loved. Now, this movie is called Crank. Now, Crank is about a man who gets poisoned, has to keep his heart rate up, keep his heart rate going and flowing very high because he's poisoned until he gets a replacement heart. Now, I believe this movie is really, really great. I believe it's very well done, too. I mean, the directing style is great. I don't remember who the director was, but directing style was great. It's violent, it's stylized. It's entertaining, which, of course, is probably the biggest product of an action movie. And this is back when Jason Statham was cool. That adds to it, too. I just think this movie is energetic, stylized. I love it. Go see it if you haven't already seen it. I really hope you've seen it. The second one is, I don't know. I mean, judge for yourself. I'll just leave it at that. Now, my next movie on this list actually has a bit of a cult following. Not exactly a box office smash. In fact, I don't even think it made much money at all. But it's called Hot Rod, starring Andy Samberg. Now, Andy Samberg is very popular today with The Lonely Island, Just Leaving SNL, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, hilarious show, please watch it. But this is when Andy Samberg wasn't exactly very popular. Now, I watched this movie a year after it came out, loved it. Loved it so much, got the word out to as much people as I could how much I love this movie. This is one of my favorite comedies of all time. Now, I love this movie for many reasons. It's quotable. I love the quotes in this movie. It's well written. Now, not every joke hits, but Anchorman is considered one of the best comedies ever, my opinion. I also agree. And not all of those jokes hit. I mean, this movie has the same, comedy aspects that Anchorman has, but this one's much different. I mean, the script is fantastic. One of my all-time favorite comedies. I mean, I believe this is comparable to Anchorman in terms of quality and in terms of similarities in the way they tell their comedy. Just stupid comedy, but this movie has some great skits. Now, my next movie on this list, I can almost guarantee you probably have not heard of. It was a Netflix documentary that was originally a Comedy Central documentary. Now, Comedy Central documentary, that's weird, right? Well, not really. It's called 6 Days to Air. It's about South Park and how they make the shows in 6 days. Now, you could just say this is a commercial for South Park. Okay, fine, say that. But I do not believe that because this is very well done, very entertaining, and it really does show you what hard work these guys put into making their shows. I should say women too, because both sides make the show equally. Now, I love this documentary. I thought it was funny. It showed the creative aspect behind South Park. I'll show you some stuff you didn't know. Did you know that Bill Hader was part of the writing staff of almost every episode of South Park? That is a busy guy. Now, this movie is just plain enjoyable. It's a great documentary. I love it. I love documentaries, by the way. Not thought-provoking. Doesn't bring up any ideas except for showing how much work these guys put in their shows. I mean, they sleep in the office to work on this show. That's ridiculous. That shows how much work they put into this. I've watched this documentary 3 times. It's very rewatchable. Love it. Watch it. Now, the next movie. I believe this was a critical and box office success. It is called 28 Weeks Later. One of my favorite zombie movies of all time. Now, the first 28 Days Later, I agree, excellent movie. But 28 Weeks Later, I believe, did not get the credit it deserved because I believe it improved on the original, which many people disagreed with. I believe it had better action. Not a better story or better characters, but in terms of telling a zombie story, this movie had an excellent atmosphere, as long as what the first one did with having an empty world. Except this one puts you in an area with many people, yet it still felt empty and depressing. And when the zombies came, the directing really showed, and it really showed these characters in these situations and how they reacted to them. Same with the script. Now the acting was also very well done. And the only really gripe I have about this movie is the ending. And I don't want to spoil it because, of course, you guys should see every single movie that I recommend. But I think this movie is great. Watch the first one, watch this. Both of them do not really have anything in common whatsoever. So I really should not call them sequels then, but they have the same name, whatever, they're sequels, but I believe this one is better. In some aspects, but I think this one's very underrated. You should watch it. Now, my last movie is hard to describe in the terms of underrated. This was a not a box office success, but it was a critical, I don't want to say hit, but it did very well critically with some critics. Richard Roeper, it was his #1 movie of the year, along with Peter Travers. Two of my favorite movie critics today. In fact, the two favorite movie critics that are alive today. And this movie's called Drive. As you can probably tell, I love Drive. I have a t-shirt of Drive. It is one of my all-time favorite movies. Top 5 favorite movies of all time. It is in that list. Now, this movie, I believe, went unnoticed. I mean, little to no Oscar nominations. One Oscar nomination for, like, sound mixing or something, some bullcrap like that. But this movie is excellent. I mean, you really want to go in depth about this movie, go on Chris Stuckman's YouTube page and look up Drive Analyze. He will give you a perfect analyzation of this movie. But first, watch it. And then his analyzation will make that movie even better for you. Now, the directing style, Nicholas Winding Refn, however you want to say it, excellent director in this movie. I really loved what he did with this movie in certain scenarios and making the script that was not really, like, people don't talk in this movie, so the script doesn't exactly flow in many sequences, but it keeps the story going. But this is all direction all the way through, not acting. I mean, the acting's fine. It's all directing. It's all cinematography. This movie is handled perfectly. Now, another reason I say this movie is underrated. The general audience was a bit confused by this movie. They were not expecting an art house style movie. I blame the marketing department because they advertised this as an action movie, which, bad decision. I don't know if they tried to do that. If they did, shame on you. This is not an action movie at all. I would consider it a drama, not even a thriller. I mean, there are action scenes, yes. But they're not, I mean, they're not even action. They're car chases, which is action in some sequences, but it's not supposed to be action. It's supposed to build the story up and keep it going. And I can go on and on about how much I love this movie, but I won't because, I mean, I'll make another video for that. Now, this video I thought was very important just to get some movies out that I believe needed to be called attention to because of how well done and how much I like them. Now, this is the Casual Film Critic, and thank you for watching.